Welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics, a production of America's Talking Network. You can listen to all of our terrific podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording this episode on Tuesday, August 8th. And joining me, as always, my partner, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Dr. O, the housing industry is very much on your radar the vast majority of the time. You and I will check in and talk about all manner of things related to home ownership and the economics of home ownership, because it's the biggest investment that you're probably going to make in your life. If you're an American, and I think it's still part of the American dream to own your own home.
Honestly, I tell you what I tell people, home ownership is how Americans got to make and keep their wealth. That's what I say to most people. It's true. We got this 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right? And then you get to accumulate a ton of equity. And then, that helps you maybe start a business, send your kids to college, help your kids buy their home. It's absolutely amazing what home ownership has done for Americans over time.
Yeah. Well, without a doubt. And one of the determinant factors in whether or not you can afford a home, of course, is where you live, but also your ability to secure a mortgage. Very few people buy a home who don't mortgage it, at least not initially. If you're going to buy a house and you're starting out in life, you've got to have a mortgage. You're not going to own that home until you've paid off that home.
It's interesting you say that. You own the home. Like you own the home. Yeah, you don't, you have to pay the bank back, but you actually own the home, and it's like, and you can sell, you can do whatever you want to do with it. That's amazing. But anyway, I think we should talk about.
Are we arguing about whether or not you own a home while you're holding a mortgage or while a bank's holding a mortgage? I would take, frankly, the other side of that. And maybe that's just my conservative nature. It's not mine until I make the last payment on it.
Think about it. Can you do whatever you want with your home right now?
Except stop paying for it, right? So it's not mine. I live in it. I have dominion, but not full. I do not have full authority over the home. So, but let me ask you this question, and you and I could wrestle over semantics at another time, and I look forward to that. Mortgage rates per Mortgage News Daily came in today, 30-year fixed, 3.04%. That's down 0.02%. That's a national roll up, of course. Depending on your state, your rate might be higher, you might be lower. I was looking back to see the last time that mortgage rates were about this high. Of course, earlier this year, mortgage rates got up to, I believe, 7.2%. But if you want to know what like a mortgage rate, a 7% mortgage rate, the last time we had something like that, you have to go all the way back to like December, November, and January 2000 to 2001, before 9/11. And then, if you go back historically, I was looking at some of these numbers just sort of, to give people perspective on like what these numbers have been. If you would have bought a house and required a mortgage in October of 1981, if you would have financed it through Freddie Mac, which is the only data that I'm seeing that's available here on this Mortgage News Daily chart, you would have paid 18.45%. Right now it's at 7.04. So talk to me about what's going on with mortgage rates. Where are they headed? I think a lot of people felt like, when the economy started to slow down, and of course we just talked about the jobs report and fewer jobs, and we thought that maybe unemployment would get a little thicker, might start to see some market movement in a positive way for borrowers, but it's not really materializing. So make sense of this for us.
Longer term yields, right? Like the yield on the 10-year treasury, which basically mortgage rates tend to follow, depend on actual inflation today, expected inflation, where we think inflation is going to be, and the prospects of U.S. economic growth, right? And so, if inflation's coming down, and we expect inflation to come down in the future, right? Rates tend to go lower. But if the U.S. economy is on solid ground, and it's likely that the U.S. economy will grow faster into the future, then rates tend to come up. And so we have a situation where inflation is moderating, but U.S. economic growth is picking up. And so we have mortgage rates basically hovering around a level that has not been seen in more than 2 decades. And so this soft landing that everybody was hoping for ultimately just means that rates will likely stay high for longer, right? And so basically, absent a large decline in aggregate demand or large economic contraction, interest rates are not going to fall, right? We're not going to see any rate cuts from the Fed, and rates will likely have to stay where they're at. So that's basically what's going on with mortgage rates. And I talk to a lot of people about this all the time, and a lot of people are like, well, when can we expect mortgage rates to come down? And I say, be careful what you wish for, because ultimately the only scenario where I see mortgage rates coming down today is a scenario where a lot of people will lose their jobs, right? And so maybe it's actually better that we're in a situation where the U.S. economy and the consumer are resilient, right? And with inflation moderating, it just means that incomes are going to have a chance to catch up. And so as incomes catch up to housing cost, we're likely to see more transactions take place and more people move, and the housing market functioning again like it used to, at least in terms of people that have been staying on the sidelines because of mortgage rates. And so that's kind of what I tell people. I think people have it the wrong way around. They say, oh man, mortgage rates are too high. This is causing the housing market to slow down. And I say, yes, mortgage rates are high, but be careful what you wish for, right? The only reason we had, 2% mortgage rates during the pandemic is because we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. No, that's as usual, terrific insight. And thank you for mapping that out. I mean, I think this is important territory for anyone looking to, buy a new home and sell a home that they already have. And, I'm always grateful for the way that you make things that are more difficult that much easier to understand. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.